Alright guys, welcome to Essential G. This is your boy G. Let's get on the bike and ride. We're going to do a challenge accepted video today, and I'm going to accept Tony McGurk's challenge. And the challenge is, tell us about previous bikes that you've owned, or at least that's what I thought the challenge was. So yeah, let's talk about previous bikes that I've owned. Since my channel is a motorcycle review channel mostly, what previous bikes have I owned and what do I think of them? So that's a tall order. I can't go through every bike I've ever owned, so I'm gonna make this kind of a fun story and just go over a few and talk about riding on the grass through the trees with a big old bike. Bet you don't do that really often, but I do. So Tony, here's the deal. When I got back into motorcycling, about 10 years ago maybe? Can't be quite 10 years ago. I wasn't quite sure how to handle, you know, like I didn't really know what my needs were, and I didn't want to be the maniac I used to be and get myself killed. So I first got a Honda Silverwing scooter, and I really loved it. I took my my then fiance all over the place on it, but it had some major shortcomings, and the big shortcoming that it had was going into work and having people say, I'm a teacher, by the way, and so I would constantly get this, oh man, the kids love your new moped. I just finally couldn't take it anymore. It was just so insulting, and I know people weren't doing it on purpose. So even though I had taken it on some great rides, gotten stuck in a flood with my girl on the back once, and it had some shortcomings with that small front wheel on the highway, finding every divot in the highway, and I just kept hearing, you know, love your new moped. I just couldn't stand it anymore. So, Tony, here's what I did. I went to a motorcycle dealership near me, and I said, what is the single fastest motorcycle that you have here? I want something that is 2 miles per hour short of a rocket. And they said, well, we got this used bike here, might be a good start for you. And it was a Suzuki Hayabusa 2007, used in baby blue, like sky blue, like what you're looking at there. My favorite color. And the guy started it inside the garage, and it was just all loud, and I was like, yeah, see if this is a moped. See how you like my moped now. And I mean, it was so ridiculous, me buying this thing, that the salesman like lined up at the window of the store to watch me pull out of the parking lot the day I completed my purchase, because I think they were like, I don't think he's gonna make it. I think they had a pool on, like, how far out of the parking lot can I get before certain things happen, like, you know, sliding, tearing out, doing the wheelie, getting hit by a car, stalling, you know. And they were all just kind of watching the disaster of me pulling away on this bike, because I was a guy that just pulled in on a Honda Silverwing. Now I was leaving on a Suzuki Hayabusa. The Suzuki Hayabusa, what would I say about it? That was my next bike. I would say that it was death on two wheels, especially with me being the operator. I loved the bike when I first got it, but it was too high for me. I was always on my tippy toes at lights. It would skip second gear and go into neutral by accident, you know, when I was going too slow for that to happen. First gear at a light was so touchy that I had to start in second gear so I wouldn't, you know, take off too hard. It had no brakes really to speak of. The front brake did all the work, and it wasn't particularly spectacular, but I loved it. Now, I'm really short, so really what was the killer for me was I would have to lay on my belly to ride the thing, you know, and while it is actually a very comfortable, smooth ride, you know, that was just a lot of work on my back and my wrist. I'm already in my 40s and have spent, you know, 4 decades beating up my body, and so I couldn't take it anymore. And one day I was heading out, and it was like a perfect day out, and it was like, should I take my car or take the bike? And I was no chance getting on that Hayabusa. I just didn't feel like, you know, walking into work feeling beat up after only 25 minutes of being on my motorcycle. So that led me into the third bike I'll talk about, which is not this V-Star I'm on, which I love. I traded that for something that I thought would be more comfortable but not be called a moped, and that was my 883 Sportster. And that Sportster was a atomic orange and was the same color as a Vet that I owned that was almost in mint condition. So I'd park all that American steel at the corner and just look good. And that was about the only thing that bike ever did, was sit there and look good. I mean, in every other category I could think of, it was just a turd, and I couldn't stand the bike. You know, it didn't handle two-up riding well. We would get off of it and feel like we just rode, you know, at the local rodeo, rode a couple horses. It wasn't fast in any way, like those two gentlemen. It vibrated a lot because it only had 5 gears. I mean, it was comfortable, but not particularly I mean, it was the only bike I've ever owned, including mopeds, that I did not enjoy at all. I just wanted to get rid of it. And so, that was when I wound up with this bike here, was getting rid of the Sportster. So those are a couple of the old bikes I owned. I hope that will help people kind of understand a little bit about my ride experience, what's out there on the market for a short guy who's in his 40s like me. I mean, in December I'm in my 50s. And I thank you for the challenge, and I'll see you guys soon. Your boy G, and I'm out. Peace.